In the US, violent crime has decreased by 49% since its peak in 1991, and death rates for cancer have decreased by 33% in that same amount of time. Also, globally, life expectancy continues to rise, child mortality rates continue to fall, and fewer people are living in extreme poverty. There is lots of good news out there, but you wouldn't think that. We are constantly bombarded by bad news. It can really be hard to stay upbeat. Let's see if we can talk about that and find some ways to stay positive without sticking our heads in the sand. First, I want to acknowledge that bad things do happen. They're happening now. People are suffering. Other living beings, for that matter, are suffering. Things are not perfect out there, and I think it's important to acknowledge that, and I am going to come back to that later. I'd like to talk a little bit about why the news is so disproportionately weighted toward bad news. And the reason for that is because, it sells, unfortunately. As humans, we are hardwired to look for danger. We want to know what's coming. We want to know if there's a threat to ourselves, to our family, to our communities. We want to be prepared. So we want to be informed. News and other sources of media, for that matter, are businesses. I think it's important that we remember that and to put forth some kind of warning, something to be fearful of. People want to watch it. We can hardly help it, actually. So it's an easy sell. It's easy money. But that doesn't mean that there's nothing but bad news out there. It just means that bad news sells. I'm not saying that the news and other media is all bad. We need information. It's great that we have information now. We have information that warns us of flooding or fires, tornadoes, other natural disasters, also things that are going on that we might want to know about so that we can be prepared or take action. And I'm going to come back to action too. But what I am saying is that there's a lot of it. It tends to repeat. News is now on 24/7. If you're close to my age, you probably remember a time when the morning news came on, the evening news came on. You could get a daily newspaper and a monthly magazine. And that was pretty much how we got our news. It wasn't on 24/7, which is kind of part of the problem here. Because of this instinct to want to be informed, there's a market for 24-hour news 7 days a week. And so what happens is these negative news stories tend to repeat, and then there are opinion shows that talk about them. And so it's just this constant barrage. And there is good news out there. We just don't see it because it doesn't sell as well. And here we are with this 24-hour, 7 days a week bad news situation. And it's not just the news media. This is on, you can see it on Facebook, you can see it everywhere. So I'm not saying to never watch the news and not to inform yourself, but to just remember that it is disproportionately weighted to the negative, to fear, even to the absurd. And the reason for this is because it's easy views and easy money. So what can we do about this? Well, one thing is to resist the urge to watch the news all day long, especially if you're retired. Us retired folks, we have time on our hands. Sometimes we can be bored, and it's easy just to sit there and watch the news. And by the way, sometimes that bad news can give you a dopamine release in your brain, which can lead to kind of an addictive behavior pattern. There's even a term for it now, doom scrolling, and that is where people kind of obsessively watch and listen to bad news. And this really isn't good for your health. So watch the news at some time. I don't like to watch news in the morning. or in the evening. I don't want to start my day with bad news. I don't want to end my day with bad news. I prefer to read the news rather than watch it. This takes away some of the external input coming in, right? Body language, even though newscasters are trying to be stoic, some of them, not the opinion shows, but many newscasters try to be more stoic, but even that stoicism is a little bit weird. So I prefer to read the news rather than watch it. Get your update, and once you've gotten your update, turn it off. Once you start to see a repeat, you've gotten all the information you can get at that time, turn it off and go about your day. Go live your life. You can always come back later and get some updates or maybe look at a news app, but try not to immerse yourself in the news all day long. This goes for podcasts too. This goes for opinion shows. Be careful of what you're consuming. Really look at it because it can have a negative effect on your mental health. I mean, people are getting depressed, and this can be part of the reason. Another thing to do, and I think this is an important one, is there a call to action? This can help us feel more empowered and in control. And honestly, this is the reason, the real reason for wanting to inform ourselves in the first place. You know, is there a call to action? Do I need to go get sandbags because a flood is coming? Do I need to understand that there's a bird flu and I'm not going to be able to get eggs and maybe I'm a baker and I'm going to need to figure that out? Those kinds of things. Is there a call to action? And then take that action. And that can help you feel a lot better. The same goes for if there's something that is really bothering you. That's another reason why sometimes we stay tuned to bad news, is because something's happening and we feel very strongly about it. We feel bad about it. Maybe something's happening to some other people. I mean, this is going on right now. It's hard. It's hard to know that that's going on. And here we are sitting in safety, maybe, where other people's lives are in danger. It doesn't help the other person or the situation for you to sit and dwell in it. It may feel like you're doing something, but you're really not. You're just kind of hurting yourself, really. But maybe there's something you can do. Maybe you can volunteer. Maybe you can join a group. Maybe you can help get a petition going. Doing something that will help somebody else in need can also make you feel better about the situation. But just sitting and consuming the tragedy doesn't do anybody any good. And I'm just going to say this, venting on social media doesn't count as doing something. Just venting, spewing out your aggravation is contributing to this whole negativity problem. It's not helping. See if there's something more productive you can do if you find yourself doing that. And on the flip side of that, you may need to set some boundaries. A lot of people do this. It's part of the reason why I really don't even go on Facebook very much anymore, because there's just too much of that sort of thing on there rather than, hey, somebody got a new pony, or hey, somebody had a new child, or something wonderful that's happened. There is that on there too. So something you can do, and I've done this before, and you can switch back and forth depending on what's going on, is you can unfollow your friend on Facebook if they have a tendency to spew out negativity. You're not unfriending them, you're unfollowing them. So they're still your friend on Facebook. You can still check in from time to time to see what's going on, but that negativity isn't in your feed. All you have to do is look for the 3 vertical dots to the right of their name, click on it, and unfollow will be one of the options. And later you can click back on it and you can follow them again if you want to. And this can kind of help you still sort of stay in touch with people, but not have that certain person who's just always, spewing junk out into the airwaves. Maybe you're going out, these are your friends, you want to have some fun, you don't want to not be around them, but we all have those one or two friends who they just can't help themselves. They've got to bring up controversial things or ask questions, stir the pot, bring up negativity. Most of us don't like this. So something you can do is think of what you're going to say beforehand. Make it appropriate to the group or whoever this person is. Something like, hey, let's not talk about that. I'd much rather talk about you. How's the kids? Hey, I heard you retired. Are you going on any vacations? Just think of something to say that you can kind of divert that energy if you can. And if you have those people who just won't stop and they won't take a hint, I think it's important to remember that's bad manners. It's not fair to subject you and everybody else to constant negativity. Bringing something up casually might be okay, but if someone is really bringing down the mood, it's okay to remove yourself, honestly. I had to remove myself from a table conversation in the last election. It was just too much. It's like, I don't want to talk about that. So excuse yourself. Hey, I'm going to go get some fresh air. Hey, I'm going to go to the restroom. Hey, wow, look at the time. I got to go. I think that is a fair thing to do. Another thing that's really empowering and can help alleviate those feelings of anxiety is to really learn about something. Dive in and learn about it. Check sources, different sources. I always like to look at the funding too of a source because that tells you a lot of where that information's coming from. Look at the library, I don't know, but really learning about something can help a lot because it tends to bring things into more context. You have more information. You can make better decisions. Is this really a threat to me? Or is there a call to action that I can do something about it? Just really, really learning about the subject can help as well. The other thing you can do is to seek out good news. Just for this video and the little facts that I was saying in the beginning, you can just look it up. There's all kinds of good news out there. There is a network called goodnewsnetwork.org, and it's this woman who saw this disproportionate amount of negative news and decided to make a good news network. I will link it below, but it's www.goodnewsnetwork.org. You can also follow other things, like I love to follow NASA, science, art, culture. These are the beautiful things that humans do. And it's important to remember that there is a lot of art and beauty and great new scientific discoveries, advances in medicine. There's all kinds of great things happening. And I think it's important to look at those things too, just so that you have more balance. There is the Good News Movement on Instagram with 5.5 million subscribers. That should let you know that you're not alone if you're feeling like, isn't there some good news out there? So look around for these things. So that's what I wanted to say in this video, is that, try not to let the news get you down. If you're that kind of a person, I am. I hate when the news is on all day. It affects me negatively, and I think that I'm not alone. I think there's a lot of people out there. So I just want to say, stay positive. There's lots of good news out there too. Be informed. Take action where you think you need to, but don't let all that negativity weigh you down. I hope this video seemed positive and not negative. Thank you so much for watching. Please comment below if you have some thoughts on this matter, and I hope you have a beautiful day.